How's it going, Sports Wars? This is Pat coming at you, Mayor Oakland. Oh no, it's not Pat. I'm just fucking around. Pat is got some other business to attend to this week, so I'm taking over the hosting duties. As you know, this is Roy the Bearded Bulldog. Check us out on YouTube. Coming at you with the Sports Wars podcast. Today I have a face you may not have seen in a while, but you recognize from our Cover 3 fantasy football podcasts and shows. I got Sports Wars fellow admin, Mr. Brandon Hicks. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a little hectic, especially after the Atlanta loss. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. Let's get into football.
I'm still sick to my fucking stomach over that game, man. How does Matt Ryan damn near throw a perfect game and we still lose because two guys in the secondary can't tackle?
Man, I tell you, and people wonder why I've got the jersey backwards. It's because he's putting the defense on his back, damn it. Matt Ryan is front and center doing his thing. Y'all worried about it with the contract this year? No, he's putting in his thing.
Matt Ryan showed out, 5 touchdowns. And
no picks.
No picks. Matt Ryan's had 2 solid weeks in a row and only 1 win to show for it. But, I mean, it's the Saints. We know anything can happen.
Oh, God, yes. And I think he only threw, 6 incompletions the entire game?
I mean, this was a classic Drew Brees versus Matt Ryan showdown. This is what it always is.
No defense on either side, just sling it.
I mean, no defense on our side because they're all fucking hurt.
Oh, God.
And then it comes down to a missed tackle.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, me and you talked about it before the show started, but it comes down basically to players getting afraid to hit a quarterback. We saw William Hayes, the defensive end for the Dolphins, blow his knee out trying to avoid getting a roughing the passer call. Brees is out of the pocket, and they still don't want to hit him. So
Clay Matthews is facing a 2-game suspension for the hit he put on Alex Smith.
It's getting ridiculous, man.
Kept his weight off of him.
Well,
so,
we could. That's
a different topic.
Yeah, we gonna have a special podcast to discuss those roughing the passer bullshit. But we're gonna jump right into this week, reviewing last week's games. We're going to start with the Thursday night game. It's very rare that we talk about Browns or Jets on the podcast. But this Thursday game was something else, man. It was we saw the first regular season action of last year's Heisman Trophy winner, Baker Mayfield. And
I know Caleb's happy about that.
Oh, no, I'm sure Caleb's thrilled. I think Caleb's probably more thrilled that Baker didn't go out there and fall on his fucking face.
Yeah.
One of the first passes he threw, I saw the replay of it. It looked like a damn bullet. Like he threw it hard.
Oh yeah.
And the only thing I could think of seeing that was like, man, he threw that with some confidence. But the big thing for the game on Thursday was Cleveland walked away with their first win since Christmas Eve 2016. Yep,
the last time they won was against the San Diego Chargers.
And RG3 was their quarterback.
Oh, my God.
Shout out to RG3 because that game, he actually helped me win a fantasy football championship. So,
good shit.
Cleveland rocks.
We'll see. And I don't know if you remember, I sent a stat out the other day in the podcast chat as far as with the winning on Cleveland. It said since their last win, there has been 12 new head coaches. There's been 63 starting quarterbacks. And the last time that they won a match or that they won a football game, Dallas was 13-3 and Oakland was 12-4. Look at how times have changed since then.
63 starting quarterbacks in the NFL since, and 54 of them have played for Cleveland.
They've got a new starting quarterback every week.
And I'm saying, and transition right into my next topic, man. As Cleveland, I know it's only been a quarter and a half, something like that.
A half.
Has Cleveland found their guy, man? Like I know it was the Jets, but the Jets made Matt Stafford look like dog shit in week 1, and Baker gave him all he could do with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna say this. Everybody knows how I feel about Mayfield when it comes to his attitude. He reminded me, and you and I talked about this a lot, he reminds me of a Johnny Manziel 2.0. he's kind of calmed down on that. He's a great player, very studious of the game. He's got a strong arm. I'm not saying he is the answer and savior to Cleveland, but I'm not giving up on him either. I want to see how he does against a real defense. We won't see that, unfortunately, this week, Pat, against Oakland. But when they play Baltimore next week, that'll be that's a division game. That's going to be an interesting one. I think he's got the tools there. It hurt with him losing Josh Gordon. Corey Coleman's no longer there. But he has two targets that I know he's going to have faith in, and that's going to be Njoku and Jarvis Landry.
I mean, maybe Jarvis Landry finally gets a chance to live up to that preseason rant he had. If you look at it, man, the quarterback bar is not set very high in Cleveland.
No, it's not.
Their franchise best quarterback is what, Bernie Kosar?
Yeah,
so, I mean, they don't. He doesn't have to do much, and he may be. I certainly understand the.
Isn't this the same franchise that was praising Ty Detmer at one point?
I mean, they drafted Tim Couch. There's a lot. They missed on a lot. Like somebody, there's this infamous meme that floats around. You just type in. You can Google it. It takes like half a second to pull this image up, and it's a Cleveland quarterback jersey, and it's got
all the names
list of all the names that have taken over in the last since Couch was drafted, because I think the number is a 2 on it, and like at this point, the fucking names touch the ground if you're 6'5". Like it's a long ass list. Seneca Wallace was a starting quarterback for the fucking Browns. So, I mean, I can't really blame Cleveland fans for getting a little excited. I'm sure they're a little like, oh, we've been down this fucking road before. We drafted Brandon Weeden. And shout out to Cleveland for that one, because that was actually Atlanta's draft pick that they got in the Julio Jones trade.
Yep, we sent him off, and they were gladly accepting of that one. Thank God we didn't get him.
So, I think Cleveland is they have every right to be kind of excited. We're going to touch on next week's game coming up, but moving on to the next game of our show today was what a lot of people thought to be the shocker of the weekend. This weekend, depending on who you ask, I'm sure if you ask LaRock, he'd say something different. The shocker of the weekend was Buffalo blowing out Minnesota in Josh Allen's debut. I don't know that anyone saw this coming. I think
I did.
No, you saw Josh Allen Minnesota up. I mean,
I saw Sean McDermott lay fire into these boys after last week. As far as when it comes to Minnesota, I've said it all along. Kirk Cousins is 7-9, 9-7 quarterback. It's all he's ever gonna be.
I mean, I've said the same thing. I mean, you know me.
You and I have been on the same page with Kirk Cousins.
But that defense.
I think this Zygie Wolf, owner of the Minnesota Vikings, is about to realize he wrote a check he never should have let be cashed.
Man, I just it blew my mind. Like in Buffalo's decision making, of all the games that I would start my brand new shiny rookie quarterback, this against Minnesota's defense. I mean, there's only a handful of defenses in the league that you're like, fuck no. Minnesota, Jacksonville, and probably the Rams now.
Yeah,
I'm not starting my rookie quarterback in his very first start against these teams, because it usually doesn't end well.
And then again, I also called Josh Allen showing out.
I'm still not on the Josh Allen hype train.
No, I know, but I'd rather take him than Rosen right now. I mean, Rosen looks he's played in a handful of plays, and he hasn't even looked that great.
I mean, Josh Allen, while he wasn't great, he wasn't terrible. I mean,
No.
he threw 22 passes, completed. Most of them. 15 out of 22. He threw for 196 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception.
Bilal Powell.
Huh?
Bilal Powell showed out.
Bilal Powell.
His running back.
Bilal Powell plays for the Jets. You mean Chris Ivory?
Yeah, Ivory. Excuse me.
Ivory. Yeah. Ivory only got 56. He only got 56 yards. I mean, he touched the ball 20 times. They controlled it. I just to me the balls of steel on the head coach. Hey, we're gonna start our rookie quarterback, and we're gonna do it in a game where our best offensive player is not playing.
Yeah.
LaShawn McCoy didn't play at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, who's their best receiver? Kelvin Benjamin?
Yeah.
I don't worry about Kelvin. I mean, Carolina shipped Kelvin Benjamin up there. I'd be worried he'd find wherever they created the Buffalo Wings at. Like, honestly, Kelvin Benjamin is, I mean, not only was Chris Ivory their leading rusher, he was also the leading receiver. There's a complete absence of talent in Buffalo.
I couldn't even name you their wide receiving core right now, and I don't even really care to look.
I mean, here let's go down the list here. The teams that
there was some white guy on there. I didn't even know they had a white guy as a wide receiver over there. Probably one of the ones they found power bombing in the parking lot.
I couldn't tell you. Let's see. I'm just looking at it here now.
I mean, but as far as not to shift too many gears on this, but to go back towards Kirk Cousins. I mean, the dude is good for 9-7, 7-9. I've called it all along. This particular instance, he's going to end up 9-6-1 this season.
I know Buffalo fans don't want to hear that. Or not Buffalo, Minnesota fans. I know they don't want to hear that the quarterback that they gave $90 guaranteed million to is going to come in and do worse of a job than Case Keenum.
Well, no, exactly, and that's the even worse part. That 9-6-1 isn't going to win them the division this year. Everybody's been calling for Minnesota as the strong favorite. 9-6-1 when you got a Chicago team that's got a rhythm going. Detroit's looking to pick up momentum, which I know we're going to touch on that as well. And Green Bay's still Green Bay. Rodgers is still there.
I mean, although if we're just to briefly touching on on Green Bay, they look like shit this weekend too.
They made Washington look like.
I mean, who knew 3 weeks in that the best looking team in the division was going to be the Bears?
Oh, I know. I will say this as far as Green Bay goes, they still haven't found their identity on offense. It takes them a couple weeks. We know that. They lit a fire a couple years ago or 2 years ago when we beat them. So
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of what that's always been their identity. Is
that's their start.
The same thing is just give Aaron the ball, he'll bail us out. I mean, and now with the beginning of the season, him hurting his knee, him not being as mobile, you've taken a piece of his game away.
Well, Washington, funny enough, quick stat for you, Washington has one of the best run defenses in the league right now. So Jamal Williams couldn't get anything going. So it relied on Geronimo Allison, Randall Cobb, and Devontae Adams, and none of them could produce anything. They couldn't separate. Norman was all over Devontae Adams all day.
When Washington's defense is able to bottle up Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, it's probably going to be a long season. And for that, we can even briefly touch on one of our regulars in the group shared an article about Green Bay possibly targeting Le'Veon Bell. I don't buy it. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and shoot down that rumor right now. Green Bay doesn't pay anybody besides quarterbacks and the once in a football lifetime defensive player, such as Charles Woodson and Reggie White. Green Bay doesn't pay offensive players that aren't quarterbacks. They're not going to go after Bell.
Prime example. No. Prime example, they picked up Muhammad Wilkerson in the offseason, which nobody paid attention to that. And he went down with a leg injury this weekend. So, I mean,
their big offseason signing for the last 2 years has been a tight end. Jimmy Graham and Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett didn't last the season.
No, he was out halfway through and went on IR.
Moving on to our next game of the week. KC, San Francisco. I think this one kind of turned out the way we thought it would. Obviously, the big news from this game really was Jimmy G getting that season-ending injury. I'm sure that a season that was kind of already on the brink because of injuries. Man, they got San Francisco got kind of crippled. Sorry, poor choice of words. They got
R.I.P. Jimmy G.
Yeah, they got handcuffed, sidelined before the season even started when McKinnon went down. Shout out to McKinnon, Georgia Southern guy.
Yep.
But they kind of got
almost lost Breida this weekend too.
Yeah. So I mean, injuries have been crazy this year. Speaking as to Atlanta Falcons fans, fuck injuries.
Oh God, yes.
The other big news from this game is, man, the fucking Mahomes train just keeps plugging along. Shout out to LaRock for calling this. LaRock called this as soon as, like, the day after Alex Smith was traded. He was like, Mahomes is going to be the shit.
Yeah. Funny enough that you bring up LaRock, him and I had multiple conversations last season. You go back to that stint where KC won 1 game in 6 weeks or 7 weeks, including their bye. Him and I were both calling for
Mahomes too.
Yeah, they lost the bye too. Him and I were calling for Mahomes, and you know he hates Kansas City with a passion. Can't stand him.
He hates Andy Reid.
Yeah. But we were calling for Mahomes. We wanted to see this kid shine. He has a strong arm. He is very, very accurate, and he can throw that ball faster than anybody out there. And
Andy Reid could be coaching a high school football team, and LaRock would be on the sidelines heckling him. So I mean,
oh yeah.
I know. I didn't see a whole lot of Mahomes in college because he played for Texas Tech, and who the fuck outside of Texas watches Texas Tech games? I knew a little bit. A little fun fact: Cliff Kingsbury, head coach for Texas Tech, he once had Davis Webb, Patrick Mahomes, and Baker Mayfield all on the same team.
Yep, and let 2 of them go.
Yeah. So he went with a guy who's probably going to have a pretty decent football career. It's having a decent start to it. But he also let a Heisman Trophy winner go. So, but Mahomes, man, he's been really impressive. He actually set the record for the most touchdown passes in his first 3 starts.
With 13.
First 3 starts to begin a season, because he did have a start last year.
The last game of the year.
Can he keep this going, dude? I mean, is this something that he can sustain? Like, he's played. I mean, the teams that they played so far, I mean, they haven't been world beaters. I mean, let's review really quick. Kansas City, obviously, they played San Francisco this past week. Before that,
they played Pittsburgh.
They played the Chargers. The Chargers.
Okay, so the Chargers have one of the best secondaries aside from injuries this season. Pittsburgh doesn't really have a secondary to speak of, and neither does San Francisco. Not at least until October when Sherman comes in. Honestly, when it comes to his ceiling on this one, as far as if he's going to keep it up, I can't answer that. I know from a fantasy standpoint, I know where I think on this one. He's outscored his projections for the first 3 weeks of this season. Usually that means either a plateau is coming or it's going to go on a downhill fast. I
mean, he's got some very interesting games coming up in the next 3 weeks.
I think that against Denver this week, Denver got roasted by Baltimore. And I think that was to show just how suspect that secondary really is. I think, honestly, their biggest test is going to be not this week, but next week when they play Jacksonville. When you got Jalen Ramsey and you got A.J. Boye, I'm going to tell you, if Mahomes can put up some touchdowns against them, he's legit. He'll have a better season this year than Deshaun Watson did last year.
That could be must-see TV, man. October 7th, week 5, Jacksonville at KC. I mean,
he does get that added benefit that it is at home. So
yeah. That's certainly going to help. That he's not going to have to deal with that. I know people outside of the Southeast don't realize October and humidity down here go fucking hand in hand. So it's a good thing that it's happening in KC in early October. Oh man, the kid seemed. I haven't heard him like talking, so I don't know if he's kind of young and humble and hungry, or if he's just a cocky asshole.
No, he's very much like the one interview that I've seen of him do. They had him on NFL Live with David Carr, and David Carr, he had a very fast release as well, and so they actually did it to where they did a competition between the two of them, and he roasted David Carr. I mean, just it was like he was throwing a fastball out, and David Carr's throwing a changeup. For baseball fans out there who say we never talk about you. But the kid, he is very much humble. He's very student of the game. He doesn't want to sit there and boast, but he lets his game do the talking, and that's what I love about him. He is actually going to do some damage in this league.
I haven't heard of the interview, but somebody said he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
I can see that.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to like about this KC team, man. I know the concern coming in was the defense, but if Mahomes is throwing fucking 5 touchdowns a game, I mean that's what the Atlanta.
Who needs defense?
I mean that's what the Atlanta team was the year we went to the Super Bowl. Was I mean it was we're scoring 35, 40 points a game, and the other team scoring 28 and 30 points a game, but nobody could go point.
Can't keep up.
So I mean.
No, and that's the same thing KC's going to have to do this year.
Lots of weapons, man. Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. I haven't heard much about Watkins. What's he? I mean, again,
he got his first touchdown as a Chief this week, so he's starting to get on Mahomes' radar.
Mahomes is throwing to everybody, so I mean.
Oh yeah, he threw one to Chris Conley.
I like to. I like to see KC do well. There's nobody there that I fucking hate, and as long as it's not New England, I don't give a shit.
But yeah, I mean,
New England or Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh can get the same fucking heat that New England gets. And they got less rings to show for it, so fuck them.
Exactly.
Going to the next game was also shocker of the weekend, part 2. Flip a coin, whichever one was more shocking. I personally felt like it was Buffalo beating Minnesota. This one didn't quite shock me as much because I kind of expected Matt Patricia, Detroit's head coach, going up against his old mentor, Bill Belichick in New England. I kind of expected a little bit. This has happened a little bit before. Didn't Belichick have a little trouble with Eric Mangini at one point? I don't think it was much trouble. I think he gave him a game or two.
He's 3-2 against Mangini for the career. The only one that he has not beaten is Josh McDaniels. So
I mean,
that's why they keep him.
Occasionally, the student comes back, and I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting this. I mean,
they had him shut down in the first half. I think after that ass whooping that the Jets handed Detroit earlier in the season, was that last week or was the week before last?
It was week 1. Detroit and the Jets on Monday Night Football. They got a prime time ass whooping. Yeah,
and Detroit, Matt Stafford, we know how he is. Georgia boy, he don't like to be slapped in the mouth. He got a dose of reality, and I think that's where Patricia's kind of like a fire under his ass.
Patricia got outcoached.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Blatantly outcoached.
Todd Bowles had that defense well-rounded. I think that as far as for Detroit standpoint, they're going to ride the momentum. I said it earlier. They're going to start building upon that momentum. You just beat the AFC champs from last season, and you did it quite handedly. So, I mean, if they start getting that running game built back up, then, yeah, Detroit is going wasn't this the first 100-yard rusher that they've had?
Since 2013.
Jesus. And
I believe that, and that 100-yard rusher was Reggie Bush.
Yeah, it was.
They haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since then, which is kind of funny that it's the me and you both being Georgia Bulldog fans, was kind of funny that it was an Auburn Tiger that did it.
Yeah.
Whoever the GM and ownership is in Detroit has got a sick fucking sense of humor, because they got a Georgia Bulldog quarterback, and when he got there, his number one target was Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket, and now the best running back he's had since he's been there is an Auburn Tiger. Like, what the fuck, man?
And his other number one wide receiver now is a Notre Dame. So,
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure Matt Stafford would trade his left arm. Like, can we please get AJ Green over here now? Like he wants somebody he's familiar with. So,
he's like, "Where's Megatron back? Let me get him back."
Yeah. On a serious note, and I'm sure LaRock is LaRock somewhere pouting because he's one of those jump off the building fans that if the team's not doing well, he's ready to go to full on mutiny. Is New England really in trouble?
No, not at all. I mean, not at all. You got Josh Gordon coming back. He's going to be back on the field this week. So I looked at the stats. Obviously, LaRock posted them earlier, talking about how Brady throwing over 20-plus yards, only 4 targets, and they've all been to Dorsett, and none of them been completed. He's thrown an interception 20-plus yards. So Josh Gordon's going to alleviate some of that. Next week, you got Jules coming back.
Is Jules going to be the same?
That's a very good case in point. That's one of those, and I hate to use the term because it's yours, wait and see type moments. We'll see when he gets out on the field. Chris Hogan's he's not creating any separation.
I mean, Chris Hogan is what he's always been. I mean, he's just Brady's not making him look better than what he is because he doesn't have Edelman on the outside and he doesn't have Gronk on the inside. So I mean,
so imagine this: if you are a legit fantasy football owner, you and I one and the same. But imagine this: if you've got a Madden team, you've got Gronk as your tight end, you've got Josh Gordon as your outside wide receiver, you've got Edelman in the slot, you've got Hogan, and you've got Dorsett. That right there, I mean, aside from Dorsett, you have a monster receiving core. So when you get all the pieces in play, the only thing is if you with Tom Brady at quarterback, can he deliver? Can he pass the ball out? That offensive line is still shit. I'm sorry. It's looking rougher and rougher every week.
To me, that's the big thing is that it's not just the receivers being shit. I mean, LaRock threw out another great stat about all the list of wide receivers who single-handedly have more receiving yards than the entire New England wide receiving core. To me, the bigger thing is that they can't protect Brady. Like Brady is, I mean, he's taking a lot of hits. He's getting rushed. I mean, he's been sacked 6 times in these first 3 games. He ain't no spring chicken. He ain't popping up.
No,
he ain't jumping off the turf. He's 40 years old. I mean, some guys are long retired. Something else to throw into the mix for this actual conversation here. The Patriots just put Rex Burkhead on the IR. He's done for the year.
Yep. And enter Sony Michel.
Yeah, Sony's about to take over.
Georgia boy's fixing to go ham.
I mean, Dorsett. I mean, Gronkowski got 189 yards. Dorsett got 110. When Gordon and Edelman come back, is Dorsett even going to see the field?
I would say yes, and the only reason is because Brady and him have established some kind of connection. He's had to have somebody there who actually knows the offense a little bit. He seems to not be able to trust Hogan to create the separation. I've seen him glance over him a couple times out there. It was kind of shocking to me, And going back, just a little side note, going back to that list that you were referring to. 230 yards receiving. That's what the entire Pats wide receiving core has put up this season. Looking over the names, we obviously know Brandon Cooks has already outshined that. We know Julio. We know, the usual names. What I find really funny about this list, Jared Cook, a fucking tight end, is getting more yards than the entire wide receiving core for the New England Patriots. That's saying something.
I mean,
that's showing Brady doesn't trust anybody on that field aside from Philip Dorsett. He only trusts Gronk.
I mean, I think it's simply because Dorsett's it's all he's got. I mean, Hogan was.
I can't answer what's going on with Hogan. I really don't. Either there's something going on between the two of them, or it's just point blank. Brady feels rushed. He doesn't want to go to his usual target, so he's looking elsewhere where nobody's covering. Nobody expects Philip Dorsett. I don't know.
So it's just to me. This is. I think they might be in a little trouble, man. I mean, Brady seems to. He doesn't like he's having much fun.
When's the last time you saw a Bill Belichick team get manhandled 2 weeks in a row?
It doesn't happen
Jacksonville
often. I think they said the last time. I can't remember the last time that New England started 1-2. This is the first time in a very long time that I remember a Week 4 game being a must-win for New England.
But see, that's the thing. I wouldn't call it a must-win. I wouldn't. You're going back home to Foxborough. I mean, you're going against Miami. Granted, yes, Miami has looked good, but they've played Oakland, who, sorry, Pat, but he's shit. Because they can't get everything right down there. Who else has Miami played?
They opened up against the Titans. They played the Jets. They played the Raiders.
Okay, so the Jets was a last-minute win, if I'm not mistaken, because Jets were coming in on that one. And they played the Titans, who Mariota got hurt. I mean, I'm not impressed with Miami thus far this year. Everybody's throwing up stats about Tannehill, how this guy has only lost one game in his last, 9 starts.
I think it was
that's going back
10 or 11.
But that's going back 2 years ago when he was hurt.
Yeah. I mean, if this one was in Miami, I would definitely.
Oh, that's a definite must-win.
I would definitely feel some type of way about them playing. To me, this is the only kind of New England's loss this week. I mean, I don't want to say embarrassing. I mean, it was at home. But
I wouldn't say it's embarrassing just because of the fact that it was against Patricia. Patricia, who knows Belichick?
I think that's the only thing that saves it. If this was against fucking Jim Schwartz, this would look really bad. It's Patricia, so it's a guy who's familiar with Belichick. He knows him. He knows how he knows how his fucking mind works. He knows Brady. He knows how his mind works. So, I mean, it makes sense that he would understand how that works. I mean,
for sure.
Brady only threw for 133 yards. This is the same Detroit team that got their asses handed to them by the Jets.
Yeah.
I saw some stat that kind of made me chuckle a little bit. So the Detroit beats the Pats.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets beat Detroit. The Browns beat the Jets. So therefore, the Browns beat the Pats. So I mean, that game, that Week 1 game. I mean, Detroit's got to figure this shit out quick. They got two key games coming up. They got one at Dallas and then a division game against Green Bay before their bye week.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Detroit, like I said, they'll pick it up. But even New England, I don't call it must win just yet. I'm gonna pump the brakes on that one. But if you look at it,
it's not
New
good.
England they didn't even look fucking impressive beating Houston Week 1.
I mean,
that one looks sorry.
It looks tough because if they lose, they're 1-3. Miami's 4-0. They have a 3-game deficit to make up in the division.
Which it can be done because we know that Tannehill can.
We know Tannehill's going to get fucking hurt at some point.
Oh yeah, I mean the man's injury prone, but at the same time, like you said, I think that it would be a little worse for wear if this was in Miami.
Yeah.
But being that it's in New England, not running out there to the press and say, hey, New England has to win this game. But at the same time, I'm keeping a close eye on.
I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go similar. It's not a must win, but it's pretty fucking close.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to our final game. Final game to recap this week was the Monday Night Football game, which looked like it was gonna be a pretty decent one. On paper, it actually ended up being a decent one once the first half ended. The topic of our podcast last week, Mr. Ryan Fitzmagic, was almost Mr. Fitztragic, and then just turned back into Ryan Fitzaverage after by the end of the game. He first half it was terrible. I like that. First half was terrible. He turned into what me and Brandon used to refer to as his alter ego. Not Fitzmagic. He was Ryan Pickpatrick.
Yep.
3 picks, and from what I understand, it was on 3 consecutive passes. What the fuck?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was pretty gruesome.
And so, I mean, and then somehow, after being down 30-10 at the half, Fitzmagic is rekindled, and they bring it back, and he has a chance to win the game.
It's almost like they did a seance at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, did they break out the fucking Ouija board for like? Did Brad Johnson come into halftime and talk to him? Because Fitzpatrick's wearing his fucking number. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
I mean, it's Fitzpatrick. He comes in before this game. I had heard legit football guys mentioning Fitzpatrick as a possible MVP candidate. What the fuck? Like that's we're officially in the goddamn Twilight Zone. Now, with that said, I know we focus a lot on Fitzpatrick in this game. There was a lot going wrong in Pittsburgh too. Did they finally right the ship, or do you think that Tampa Bay's kind of Cinderella start is finally hitting midnight? What do you think?
Kind of a mixture of both. Okay, so AB and Big Ben finally started to look like they were on track with each other towards the end of the third quarter. But then the fourth quarter is like Big Ben forgot who the fuck he was supposed to be throwing to, which not surprising. He's old. He's a rapist, whatever. Anyway, allegedly. Moving right along, but honestly, Monday Night Football, I'm not expecting anything less from Fitzpatrick, sorry.
Whoever decides to show up.
Whoever he decides to show up, you put the spotlight on him. Yeah, he's great on a couple of Sunday afternoon games, but when you put that big spotlight on him, he is notorious for crumbling. Now, he did show up in the second half, but I think Deshaun Jackson told him in the locker room, hey, wear my chain, win you some good luck.
Yeah, Deshaun must have let him wear his shades during halftime. So that's where the magic came from.
I think that Tampa Bay, honestly, because I know how you feel. I know how I feel about Dirk Cutter. I know how you feel about Mike Smith, and I know how I feel about Mike Smith. I don't think that they fucked this up.
Wait, you don't think they fucked this up?
No. I think that they learned from their mistakes in the past, and
I'm sorry, we're talking about Dirk Cutter learning from mistakes.
I can't even say it with a straight face. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Yeah, they'll fuck this up.
That actually brings me to my next question. Should they go back to Winston, or should they stick with Fitz?
For the money that they paid for Winston, I would go with him. But as far as
he starts, as soon as the suspension is up, which I think is this week.
Yeah, he is eligible to start back this coming week against Chicago, which I actually no. Put Fitzpatrick in there, let him go against Khalil Mack.
Fuck that, man. Fuck that. If I was Fitzpatrick, I'd be like, I'm clocking out, boss. I'm done.
Yeah, fuck all that. I like the starting job. I enjoyed it. I proved that I could take it from somebody else, but let Winston have that shit.
Somebody actually posted a stat in the group about Ryan Fitzpatrick that him and his wife are expecting their 7th child.
Yep, he's trying to get on Philip Rivers status.
Yeah, and that he's currently on. He's trying to get the Phillip Rivers quarterback fertile status. I'm like, apparently Fitzpatrick's throwing more than interceptions. So with bringing it back to the Fitzpatrick in Tampa Bay, if you put Winston back in, you start him this week. How long? How long do you stick with Winston if he comes out flat?
Well, obviously, if he comes out flat, I wouldn't expect anything less against Chicago. But if he comes out flat, I wouldn't say this game or the next. But
right now, Tampa is 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a tie.
Tie for the lead
in the division lead. They actually hold the tiebreaker over New Orleans. They're tied with Carolina. If you start Winston and they lose, they're 2-2. Obviously, depending on what everybody else does in the division. Let's see. New Orleans has got Carolina's off this week, so that they're gonna lose. Yeah, they'll hold the spot they've got. New Orleans is at the Giants. Atlanta is hosting Cincinnati. You lose this week, you run the risk of going first in the division to, as much as it pains me to say this, last in the division,
with the Falcons.
tied with Atlanta, or possibly tied with New Orleans as well, depending on what they do against the Giants, because they haven't looked great. Their secondary hasn't looked great at all, and they're playing Odell.
Marcus Williams still with him over there.
So,
I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. So they play the Bears this week. They play the Falcons next week. They're off next week. Then they play the Falcons. Then they play the Browns. I'd give Winston probably these 3 weeks because Atlanta's got a banged up secondary. Browns don't have any real secondary to speak of.
Why does Atlanta have to be the damn confidence building game, man? Fuck.
Because at this point we are fucking riddled with injuries. Our fucking defense has an IR an abbreviation next to it. I mean, when you lose 3 starters, our captain, just Jesus. So I give him at least 3 weeks if you're gonna go back and start him. Now, if you do the right thing, which is leave Fitzpatrick in there. Because he's already got this team flowing. I mean, they're 2-1. They should have been 3-0. They're having a damn good. Even they were still laughing on the sideline after they lost to fucking Pittsburgh. So I mean, they're still having fun. Now, if they did the smart choice and leave the hot hand in there with Fitzpatrick, how long would you give them on Fitzpatrick before you put Winston in?
And see, that's the tough thing is
both of them kind of have a Cinderella story to them. Both of them kind of go flat at usually different times in the season. So,
but this is Dirk Cutter and Mike Smith we're talking about. We talked about this on the podcast last week. Me and Pat and my Ryan Fitzpatrick hashtag Ryan Fitzpatrick gear I had set up in. We talked about this last week.
Nice, by the way.
I appreciate that. It was some. It took some doing. I apparently didn't have as many chains as I thought I did. It took some. I believe that Tampa's going to do what they do. They're going to likely pull Fitzpatrick. They're going to put Winston in. They're going to leave Winston in for a game too long. You're saying 3. I say they probably pull him 4. They probably let him have 4 or 5. And then they go into panic mode and they decide, oh, shit, we need to put the hot hand back in.
And he goes cold.
But then after a month and a half of sitting on the bench, he's cold again. If they wait 5 weeks, they have Chicago, bye week at Atlanta. Cleveland comes to town. At Cincy, at Carolina.
Yep, and that would leave them at home against Washington. And that defense already just took down Aaron. So
yeah. So I mean, I think they leave Winston in a week too long. He may. I think he would probably escape one or two of these games with a win and look okay, but he doesn't look as good as Fitzpatrick looked the first 2 weeks of the season?
God, no. And if they kept him in those 5 weeks, let's be real, he's going to get knocked around by the Browns front seven. The Bengals will put a beating on him. Atlanta's got a front seven still. And Carolina's going to take some hits on him.
Speaking of the Browns front seven, they look pretty good, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what was it last year? They had the best run defense in the league, allowing the lowest amount of rushing yards, and still didn't have a fucking win.
Yeah. I just think to me, you stay with a hot hand until he's not winning anymore, until you've absolutely got rid of him or used them all up. Because I mean, everyone knows Fitzpatrick is he's not the franchise savior at quarterback.
No, but he has taken over so many jobs doing it as a backup.
No, but I mean, at this point, Tampa needs to have a hard conversation with themselves. Is this a team that they think can win a Super Bowl right now? Because if it's not, then you need to make a decision on if you're going to let Fitzpatrick ride for the year and see if you can bottle some of that magic and carry it. Because I don't think this team beats the Rams. I don't think that, regardless of what Minnesota did this weekend against Buffalo, they don't beat Minnesota, not that defense. Honestly, I would probably start Fitzpatrick this weekend, regardless of what Winston does. He hasn't played a game. If you think he's your franchise guy, I'm not fucking putting him out there for Khalil Mack on a platter. That dude is killing quarterbacks right now. Fuck, man.
Well, I look at it like this. Okay, so let's say they do the right thing and they leave Fitzpatrick in. Let me ask you this. Serious as a heart attack, do you think we see another journeyman like Case Keenum last season? Another Cinderella story? Puts together a string of wins?
No, because the Keenum situation in Minnesota was really different.
He had a defense to speak of.
Yes. He also had, I mean, what's crazy, Tampa's offensive talent is better than Minnesota's as far as outside of quarterback. I'd still, as vanilla fucking Wonder Bread, goddamn diet water, Kirk Cousins ass, as much as I dislike his ass, I still think he's a better quarterback than Fitzpatrick. But Fitzpatrick has got that kind of veteran.
Wait. So you put Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson over Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen?
Yes. Talent-wise, yes.
No.
Talent.
That's where I'm going to disagree with you, man.
Dude, talent-wise, Deshaun Jackson. Okay.
They have height over them. That's all they have. As far as talent-wise, since 2015, ask LaRock on this one. He'll back me up. Since 2015, the best tandem at wide receiver has been Diggs and Thielen.
Best like how? According to what?
As far as yards-wise, catches-wise, touchdown-wise, look it up. Thielen and Diggs have been.
I mean, we're also talking about with Evans and Jackson. They've also had Jameis Winston throwing to them.
They had Case Keenum in fucking Minnesota last year.
But Winston, for crazily, they have Winston throwing to him and Dirk Cutter as their head coach / offensive coordinator. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I know where
we can agree that Ryan Fitzpatrick is not as talented as Winston, but no. Fitzpatrick has been the better quarterback in that offense. Deshaun Jackson.
For the last 2 years, he has.
Deshaun Jackson had more catches over 40 yards in the first game of the season than he had all of last year with Winston.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
facts.
Talent-wise, I don't think it's a question. Mike Evans is more talented than Thielen and Diggs. And Deshaun Jackson, while up there and a little up there in age right now, is still – Diggs' numbers aren't, like, super impressive. Like, Diggs is the number 2 receiver on that team.
Sure.
I mean, and I mean, honestly, I feel like outside of a once in a lifetime kind of catch, I don't know that the whole league would really know Stephon Diggs right now outside of Minnesota. I mean,
That was cold, and you know that.
I mean, it's
reference a catch, and that because of Marcus Williams with.
I mean, outside of that, I just don't see it. I mean, Stephon Diggs. Let's break it down. I don't think he's never had 1,000 yards receiving, right?
That one I have to look up. I don't know.
Let's see.
I'm not prepared when it comes to that. Oh, did you see what? A side note on here as far as did you see what Zach posted in the group?
I did not.
Rashard Matthews is saying he told A to Z Sports that he asked the Titans for his release.
The wide receiver?
Yeah. I mean, if he could go somewhere and do something, I know that Seattle's looking for another wide receiver with Dougie Baldwin possibly being out for the season.
I mean, Russ is going to be running for his life. Here's Stephon Diggs' numbers. This is what blows my mind. Stephon Diggs' numbers. He has never had a 1,000-yard season, 1,000-yard receiving season.
Mm-hmm.
He's never had more than 84 catches in a year.
Nope. He had that 2016. That was also the same year he came close to 1,000 yards.
Yeah, not 903. And that was also the year he had 3 touchdowns. Now, in his the defense so far this year, he already has 3 touchdowns. But I mean, I don't understand labeling him the best wide receiver tandem. I mean, he's a number 2 receiver. I'll give Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's solid. He got a shit ton of catches. But
I mean, he had 1,200 yards receiving. So I mean,
yeah, I absolutely can agree with. Let's see. Are we gonna?
I mean, either way, I see what you're saying as far as talent wise, because Evans and Deshaun Jackson, they're both a beast when they're actually, when Deshaun Jackson can actually run.
I just think, like I said, just all around talent wise, I don't think it's even. I don't think it's close. That Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson all together. But I mean, let's see. Since 2000, let's see. I'm just pulling the stats up here for us because I'm very intrigued here. Here, let's even narrow that down further. I know this is
sorry for the little pause here, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm actually
he's dead set on finding.
I hear a lot of people saying they're really high on Thielen and Diggs, and I'm like, I don't see it.
Hey, look, truth be told, either way, you broke it down. Cousins is better than Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I would take Cousins. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I had to pick between Cousins and Fitzpatrick, I would probably trade the fucking pick.
I think that happened. No, even more so. Regardless, we've kind of beaten this Tampa Bay thing as much as we can. Tampa's Dirk Cutter is notorious. Him and Mike Smith are notorious. They're gonna fuck this up. They're gonna throw Winston in probably this weekend. He's gonna get annihilated by Chicago. I think Khalil Mack might make him his bitch.
Yeah, Winston's not gonna be. He's not gonna be eating any W's. He'll probably be eating some grass this weekend.
He'll be eating some grass flavored L's.
Yeah.
But if I am truly believing that Winston is going to perk this team and keep it on the same path that Fitzpatrick's already set it up, I give him no less 3 games. I feel like they're going to bring it 5, but I give him 3 games.
Yeah, to me, the smart move would be to ride Fitzpatrick until he ceases to be hot anymore.
Yeah.
But the key question in all of it is how long do you stick with, with Fitzpatrick, you can tell the magic's starting to wear off. How long do you it's definitely wore off. Or if you switch to Winston, how long do you let him continue to Like, hey, he threw for 4 touchdowns, but he threw for 3 picks too, and one of those happened with less than 5 minutes to go in the fourth.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of shit or get off the pot time for Tampa Bay and Winston. They got to make a decision. Like after this, he's up for a contract extension, or did he already sign it?
I think he signed it on offseason because I think Cutter was saying that we're sticking with Winston. He is our quarterback of the future. Which is
hilarious because before the season started or after the first week of the season, the GM comes out and says, "Oh no, his starting job isn't guaranteed." Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's hilarious. To be honest, it's nothing uncommon with Tampa Bay, but at the same time, it's nothing uncommon with Fitzpatrick either. The dude has backed up 6 different quarterbacks and taken every one of their starting jobs.
He comes in and does just well enough for you to be like, is this our guy? Like,
I mean, this is the same cat that came into Houston when they didn't have a fighting chance and put up 6 fucking touchdowns in one game. So,
I mean, another fun fact for the to close out our thoughts on this game this week. Fitzpatrick is the first quarterback in NFL history to have 3 consecutive 400-yard passing games.
Yep.
Stat of the week.
Facts.
And sliding right into next week's games. We're going to start with the Monday, or excuse me, the Thursday night game. Not real sure when this podcast is going to come out. Hopefully, we get it out before the game. Regardless, we're going to give our thoughts on it. This Thursday night game is one of the rare must-see TVs. We go from Browns Jets to possibly a lot of people's sexy pick for the NFC Championship game this year.
What should have been last year's NFC Championship game.
But Atlanta shit in that pot. Yes, sir.
And then Philadelphia shit in our pot.
Yeah, Philadelphia shit in our pot, too. So we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the L.A. Rams. Still getting used to saying that shit.
Yeah.
The L.A. Rams this week on Thursday Night Football.
And it's in L.A.
In L.A. So I don't know shit about the weather in L.A. this time of year. Hopefully it's nice. It'll be Thursday night for everybody on the East Coast. I think me and John touched on it a little bit, kind of throwback to the college football podcast. I don't know how the fuck y'all deal with Sunday football on the West Coast. Like, y'all get up at 10 a.m. and watch football. But this one's going to be on the West Coast.
That's kind of a dream at that point, though, isn't it? I mean, because then you're watching the Monday night game, or the Sunday night game is at what, 5 o'clock?
Yeah, I mean, but dude, I couldn't imagine hey, I got to set an alarm to watch fucking Terry Bradshaw. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, but then I'd never have to worry about going to bed late. I'd sit there, watch all my football, and then go to sleep.
Yeah, true. Now this one, I think we kind of touch quick on this one just in case we don't make it in time. Minnesota, LA, in LA. Minnesota kind of coming off of a downer. LA beating the shit out of everybody, but they're down a couple guys because it's a short week. They don't want to risk further injury. Who do you got? Vikings, Rams.
I'm going to stick with the Rams. They've got the high end right now, especially after the downfall of Minnie last week. I will say a fun fact for everybody who's wanting to see a defensive struggle. I honestly think that this is going to be the shootout of the week. When you've got guys like Trey Wayans on Minnesota, who's not going to be playing this week, and then you got Talib, who's out for the rest of the season now. Marcus Peters, who's hurt for LA. I think that you're going to see the score being run up. Maybe not so much with the run game, but I think the passing attack will be there this week.
I mean, as long as Aaron Donald's still breathing, I'm not counting out the Rams. He is. Before the season started, arguably the best defensive player in the league.
Getting paid like it too.
Yeah. Now Khalil Mack's kind of been like, oh, really? You think so?
Donald? Who?
Yeah. Aaron who? So he's kind of he's taking that lead on that. So I mean, I'm kind of torn, man. I like seeing obviously with a Gurley with the Rams. I like seeing my Bulldogs do well. I do think.
Quick insight. Did you see the interview that he did earlier this week?
No.
right after the game, where they lost to Talib and Peters getting hurt, he said, I fucking hate playing on Thursday nights. Thursday night fucking football games are trash to me. So
I mean, we've had this discussion. I know me and Aaron have had it. Aaron fucking loves Thursday night football games. I hate them. I hate them,
especially after a rough. Well, I mean, you think about it. You got a very, and not to say not every football game is obviously smash mouth hard hitting, but when you have a game like the Battle of LA last weekend, where they were hitting the shit out of each other. I mean, Gurley got rocked 3 times in that game, and he still came back trucking out on the field.
I mean, I think there's a much better way. Like, let's get some eggheads on this shit, man. There's got to be some way to lessen the impact, because to me, it's not necessarily meaningless games being played on Thursday. It's usually just sloppy football, and it's sloppy because guys aren't as rested. There's been less time to prepare. At the very least, if you want to make guys focus a little more, my solution to it is make every Thursday night game a rivalry game.
Oh yeah,
let's get Browns Steelers. Even Browns Steelers is somewhat of a rivalry game.
Hell, it could have been Browns Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, let's get
that's what it's been for the last couple of years. Honestly, to that point, they thought, because the ratings were declining over the last couple of seasons with Thursday night football, so they thought, hey, let's do it with the color schemes. Let's bring that shit in. Don't get me wrong, some of them are kick-ass, some of them hurt my eyes, like that fucking neon yellow that
mostly shit though.
Yeah, mostly shit. But I mean, it used to be Thursday night games were subject to just college football. I was fine with that. Leave it all on Sundays. I mean, even if you could move it like a Friday night game, throw that one in. At least you got an extra day to prepare, especially if you're coming off of a late Sunday night game or a late Monday night game. At least give it one extra day and move a Friday game so that way you can encompass from Thursday to Monday. You've got nothing but football.
I think the solution to this is it's gonna combine 2 issues that both the owners have and the players have. The players hate these fucking Thursday night games. They hate them.
Yep.
The coaches, or not the coaches, the owners, they want to expand the season.
Yep.
I think the solution to this would be to expand the season, but it would also be to add an extra bye week. And if a team has a Thursday night game, give them the bye week before that.
Yeah, exactly. Give them more time to prepare. I mean, nothing's more fair than all right, we know this firsthand with college, with Georgia-Florida rivalry. Usually the best Georgia-Florida football games are when both teams have that extra bye week going into that game. So that way they can – oh, yes, big-ass potential to have a great football game.
I mean, I think that's the easiest solution. I mean, you just combine – like I said, the players hate Thursday night games. The owners want 2 more games. And they're going to get rid of 2 preseason games, which I'm sure every fan of every team that one of their players suffered an injury in the 3rd or 4th preseason game would love that idea.
Yeah.
Get rid of
McKinnon would love that season back.
Yeah. Get rid of 2 preseason games. Move the season up 2 weeks to take. I mean, although I don't really know. I mean, do you really want regular season football in August?
No. They keep it where it is, but then just extend it out through January. So then you're setting up for.
You're going to get a March Super Bowl at that point, though. Although I'd be good with that. First week of March is my fucking birthday. Let's watch it.
I know. That's what I was saying. I thought you'd be very happy with that shit. You'd call out from work at the same time.
I mean, I just let us know, man. Let us know your thoughts about that. Expanding the season, giving a bye week before the Thursday night game. We'll try to make these next few kind of quick hitters, wrapping it up, getting a little long. We touched on this a little bit earlier, so we'll just breeze through this one. Miami versus New England, man. Who you got in New England? Miami 3-0, New England 1-2. You don't think it's a must-win for New England? So you taking New England here? Or you taking Miami?
Yeah, I think Miami suffers their first loss this week. They don't have anybody that can cover Josh Gordon. Gronk's going to be in their face, and Sonny Michel's going to use this as his come-out game.
I'm actually going to say the exact opposite. I think Miami's going to win it, and I think Minka Fitzpatrick has his come-out game, his coming-out party guarding Gronk.
Gronk. If he lays a hit on Gronk, I promise you I might fall to the floor.
So Minka Fitzpatrick coming out party. Kind of like his former teammate did last week against the Saints, Mr. Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
Moving to the next matchup, we also touched on this one a little bit earlier. There is a matchup of two of the hotter players in the league, two guys in MVP talks. One of them is probably the last fucker you think. Matchup of Tampa versus Chicago. They still haven't, at this point, they still haven't announced if Fitzpatrick is even going to start, but we know fucking Khalil Mack is going to start. Who do you think's got this one? Tampa or Chicago? And I'm actually just double checking to verify now. I believe this one is in Chicago.
It is.
Okay.
I've got to give a shout out to Aaron Morris. Chicago's doing some great things aside from that first half, debacle looking against Arizona. But I think that they are going to put another L for the Buccaneers this week. I think Khalil Mack is going to make whatever quarterback back there his bitch.
Shout out to Roquan, man. I hope Roquan does well as well.
Oh, yes.
I'm also going to take the Bears, man. It's hard to bet against defense.
That defense is just phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think Mike Evans is going to be going over the middle too often in this game.
Not unless he wanted to be decapitated.
Especially if Winston's his quarterback. Winston's going to get him killed.
God, yes.
Let's see. Going straight to the next one here. A game I really kind of felt weird spotlighting because – holy shit. Cleveland versus Oakland. This is going to be Baker Mayfield's first start and possibly the start of a Cleveland Browns winning streak, something that hasn't been said in a very long time. What do you think? Does Oakland get their first win of the season, or does Cleveland start a winning streak?
Pat, I'm sorry, but John Gruden is still the coach. Cleveland gets their winning streak going.
They're still looking for a pass rusher.
2 games. Two games with a win streak.
Jesus. Cleveland is on a longer winning streak than the Patriots.
Well, by all definition, they just beat them last week.
So yes, holy shit.
I mean, if you look at it like this, so Cleveland is what, 1-1-1?
Yeah.
They still have a better record than the fucking Patriots do right now. They've got a better record than Oakland right now.
To start the season,
if they win this week, I don't know.
Baker Mayfield making a statue outside the stadium.
True that. MGK will probably pop off another champagne bottle somewhere, but
hopefully it's not a kill shot. Shout out. If Baker is able to play 4 quarters and just win, he doesn't have to show his ass. Like, we know Baker is capable of showing his ass. He's got the talent around him. Carlos Hyde had a great game last week on a short week. Njoku's still there. Jarvis Landry, regardless of what LaRock may say about him in his short yardage situations, he's still a solid receiver. Maybe overpaid, probably overpaid. The talent's there, man. We all said this before the season started. Cleveland has got talent. It's just a matter of being able to do with it.
I think I was called crazy for week 1 saying that Cleveland was going to beat.
Oh no, review the podcast. I actually picked I picked Cleveland to actually beat Pittsburgh. I felt kind of shitty when they only tied them, but I felt a little vindicated because they didn't get blown out.
Exactly. But I mean, if Hugh Jackson didn't think that there was a double overtime, we could be looking at a 2-1.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hell, if they had a kicker, they'd be 3-0.
Yeah, just easily 3-0. If they had a kicker worth of shit, if they didn't actively recruit Alabama kickers, shout out to Griggs and Aaron. If they didn't actively recruit Alabama kickers, then they very well could be 3-0 right now and easily leading that division.
Oh yeah, because Baltimore's about the only one.
If Baker shows up this weekend and shows his ass, he is going to win the hearts and imaginations of everyone in Ohio, and they're going to have another person to root for they're going to be like Bernie Kosar who, LeBron who. I mean, Baker's going to take over. Going straight to the next matchup, it's also a couple division rivals for Cleveland. This one always gets a little bit of attention because, regardless of what the records are, because these guys hate each other. A lot of people used to say Pittsburgh and Cincinnati was kind of a rivalry, but Cincinnati was always the one getting their ass whipped, so it wasn't really a rivalry. It's as much of a rivalry as Georgia, South Carolina. Love you, Jimmy.
Mean it.
This Baltimore and Pittsburgh, it's a rivalry because they trade wins, regardless of what the other one's doing or whatever each other is doing. One could be 6-10, the other one could be 10-6. It's always a tough game. Who do you got here? This is another one with kind of deep implications with it being a division game. It's still pretty early in the season. Is Pittsburgh going to continue kind of righting the ship, or is Antonio Brown going to be shouting at somebody else on the sidelines?
Honestly, I think that we're going to be looking at just Pittsburgh outscoring Baltimore. Their pass rush, watching it against Denver, I mean, it's Denver. Their offensive line sucks. But it's going to come down to Flacco, and I think he's going to make a huge error. And I think Pittsburgh ends up pulling 2-2.
I actually disagree. I think the turmoil continues. Mike Tomlin continues to lose that locker room.
Le'Veon puts another
he throws some more shade on Instagram. And Antonio Brown gets more and more frustrated because the OC has been Big Ben's best friend. Big Ben says some more subliminal shit in an interview sometime next week, and we do this shit all over again.
Who's the offensive coordinator?
I forget the guy's name, but apparently the dude was hired because him and Ben are really close.
Oh, geez.
And I think he was the quarterback coach or something. Like he took over for Haley, and him and Ben were really close, and that's why he got the job, because they were like, that may have been part of the reason why Ben was kind of waffling back and forth on whether he wanted to come back.
Because he can't stand Haley.
No. But I do think I think Baltimore may pull this one out. I think it'll be close. I don't think it's going to be decided by more than a touchdown. But Flacco is Flacco, man. You could get 4 interceptions, and he's like a Super Bowl version of Kirk Cousins.
Hey, shout out to John Brown for doing his thing in damn Baltimore. I mean, really, he's showing out more than Crabtree is right now.
That's what we're gonna from now on in the group. Whenever we talk about Joe Flacco, we're just gonna hashtag Super Bowl Kirk Cousins. That's all he is. Now, moving on.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the catchphrase.
Start TMing this shit.
Now, for our last matchup of the week, it is I believe it to be the Monday night game. It is the Monday night game of the week. Well, the Monday night game that happens to be, it's not necessarily the game of the week. It's Kansas City at Denver. The Mahomes show is going to try to roll on, and Denver is going to try to recover from their play against Baltimore this past week. What do you think? You think Mile High Mahomes shows his ass, or does Denver have a shot at this in any way?
I'm going to give you a hot take on this one. Mahomes throws 5 touchdowns. I have no faith in that secondary in Denver.
Is that really a hot take, though? Hasn't he thrown like 5 touchdowns the last 3 games?
But against Denver in Denver on a Monday night? When's the last time that Denver had anybody do anything against them in Mile High?
I mean,
on a prime time show. Okay, hot take. He breaks the record. Throw 7 touchdown passes. Damn it! Just keep adding them up. I mean, he's gonna find Hill's gonna be open. Kelsey's gonna be open. Watkins is gonna be open.
I mean, shit. At the rate that Mahomes is throwing touchdowns, Andy Reid's gonna be open. I mean,
while he's ordering something from Waffle House.
Yeah, with his little Waffle House menu that he has all of his fucking plays printed out on. Yeah. I could just picture Andy Reid. I mean, I'm a big guy too, so I don't have a whole lot of room to talk. But I could just picture
don't
Andy
either.
Reid like communicating into the headset, like, I want him smothered and covered. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about, coach? Like, do you want to, is it a run to the left or right? You heard me, goddammit.
He says smothered and covered. Mahomes throws a 30-yard touchdown pass to Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, like that's not in the playbook, but it is now. I'll agree, man. I think Mahomes is going to show his ass, and this is going to be, as of right now, it's kind of been the football guys who know what Mahomes is doing has been kind of special. A game on Monday night is kind of where you can show the whole country.
Yep.
We both saw the overreaction to the Jets showing their ass on Monday against the Lions. The first Monday night game, everybody was like, fucking Darnold, they got their franchise quarterback. And Darnold's been okay since.
He's average.
I mean, he's a rookie. He's still learning, but
will we call him serviceable?
At this point, yeah. I mean, look, for everybody that doubts that Darnold is based on 3 fucking games at this point, for anybody who thinks that Darnold is a bust, please go look at Peyton Manning's rookie season.
Yeah.
Look at what Peyton Manning did his rookie season. By no means Darnold is going to be Peyton Manning, but I'm saying rushing to judgment on this kind of thing is fucking stupid. They did the same thing with Mark Sanchez.
Brett Favre.
I mean, they were calling him the Sanchez after like 3 games.
Sanchez quarterback.
Yeah, come on, dude. Like
turned into Mr. Butt Fumble.
I mean, that's what his career boils down to. Not even that the first 2 years he was in the league, he was in the AFC Championship game. His career is a punchline because of the butt fumble. Like
he's PED butt fumble. I mean, that's what he's broken down.
I don't even know where he's at now. Is he still in Dallas? Like, is he in Chicago?
I have no idea. I lost tabs on him.
Like he just disappeared
when he got popped for the PEDs and all that shit. I lost tabs on him.
Oh shit! Funny enough, Mark Sanchez, the Sanchez, is no longer in the league.
That makes sense. Yeah, because he was being investigated last I saw. So,
well, no, hold on. Let me see. Not that he's no longer in the league. He hasn't had a stat since 2016.
Oh. That's the difference.
He played in 2 games for Dallas. Not started.
Okay, so
he played 2 games. He threw 18
so
passes.
Dallas is the other. Gotcha.
He threw 18 passes and with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So basically a typical Mark Sanchez stat line.
He's currently a free agent.
Yeah, so I could have swore he was on. I see a couple years he was in Philly. I see in Dallas. I could have swore he was in Chicago. I know he was in Denver.
Yeah, he's been. He went with the Jets 2009 to 2013. He was 1 year with the Eagles, the Broncos in 2016, the Cowboys in 2016, and the Bears in 2017.
Yeah, because I know he started the preseason with Denver because there was legit thought that he had a chance at being the starting quarterback there, because I heard all of the fucking Denver fans that were like, oh, we can win with that defense. We can win a championship with Mark Sanchez. And then Sanchez loses his fucking job to Trevor Siemian.
I mean, well, then again, I mean, no disrespect to Siemian. I'm sure he's going to be a great CFL quarterback somewhere.
I mean, he's currently the backup in Minnesota.
Yeah, he'll never start as long as Cousins stays healthy.
Not with that $90 million paycheck they're giving out.
But would you honestly rate Siemian as better than fucking butt fumble?
Honestly, dude, this is fucking harder than I thought. Siemian, yeah, dude, I would take Siemian over.
Good answer. I mean,
I would take Siemian over Sanchez.
Mind you, this is a fun fact for you about a quarterback who's not even in the fucking league anymore. Mark Sanchez, his career touchdown to interception ratio is 86-86. For every touchdown pass this fucker throws, he throws an interception to replace it.
Ironically enough, that's his winning record is also 500. So I mean,
Oh, great. So he's the John Gruden of the NFL quarterbacks.
I know. I mean, shit, to me, he's the Jeff Fisher of NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, you're right. Kirk Cousins is the John Gruden of the NFL quarterbacks right now. Sorry about that. Yeah,
lots of bluster, no actual success.
Yeah.
With that done, we're gonna call it a night here, or call it a day, depending on where you're at when you're listening. We're gonna call it the episode today. Let us know your thoughts below. Tell us we're full of shit. We don't care. We'll probably respond to you. I know I will.
We'll do a shout out to you in the next episode.
Yeah, I'll shout out to you as I'm talking shit about you in the next episode. By all means, man, join the group. Sports Wars. We love to talk shit. Fuck your team. Tell us where you agree with us. Tell us where you don't agree with us. Brandon, you got any shout outs?
I got to give a shout out to the city of Duval. For all that hype that they were talking after the week that they put on a performance like hell against New England, for you to get slapped in the mouth 9-6 by Tennessee, who played Russian roulette with their quarterbacks, I don't want to hear shit from you.
Who basically, like, Mariota went in with 2 dead fingers. Like, that's how bad the nerve damage is in his throwing hand.
And still came out and they won 9-6. I have one more shout out though, and I've got to do it. Roy, you may be mad. I don't care. For Brian Poole, the cornerback of the Atlanta Falcons, our nickel cornerback. Buddy, you're one of the hardest hitting corners in the league. How do you miss a tackle on a aging Drew Brees in open field?
Mate, I got to think. The only thing I can think of is he probably thought he was going to get flagged for it. That's the only thing I can think of.
I'll go with that because otherwise it's too painful to think anything else.
I've got my own little everybody's kind of gotten used to Roy's shitty shout outs. I got my own little shitty shout out I want to give today. It's not to a person, it's to a concept. Everybody's heard the term before, the injury bug. Fuck you. Fuck you for ruining the fucking Falcon season. Not only did we start the year with a loss against the Eagles, we lost our heart and soul on defense and Keanu Neal.
And Deion Jones.
We lose Deion Jones. We've lost Ricardo Allen. Devontae Freeman hasn't played since week 1.
Wait, good news. Devontae Freeman is back this week.
He's cleared. Okay. I mean, is he going to play? Is he going to play fucking safety?
No, we're thinking about moving Tevin Coleman out there at this point.
I mean, shit, call me. I'll play safety. I don't care.
I'm a little heavy, but I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, shit, give me a jersey that doesn't fit. I'll play with my belly sticking out. I don't give a shit.
I'll rock the Ryan jersey backwards so that way they can know who my quarterback is.
Fuck you, injury bug. You have seriously shit on a lot of people's seasons this year so far. I don't want to say none worse than the Falcons because there's a lot of people that are hurting right now.
Yeah, R.I.P. Jimmy G.
Yeah, Jimmy G's fucked. Also, once again, I think I've said it in the group before. Shout out to everybody who drafted Le'Veon Bell in your top
5. Hey, look. Hey, fuck you. Okay, I had an auto
I didn't realize
pick.
You did.
I had an auto pick in Cordarius's draft, and I didn't make it for the first one. Otherwise, I was getting girly. Damn it! So I've tried to make trades. Nobody will do it. I'm hoping like hell he gets either traded or he comes and plays.
Oh man, you got to be fucking praying he ends up with like, fuck. I don't even know a good situation for him right now. The Texans. I don't know.
Oh God, either the Texans, Miami's looking for a running back. The Colts are looking for a running back. Hell, put him in Indy. Let him look. They'll do numbers with him.
Indy could be a good fit.
By the way, do shout out to Mike Callaway. He's the one who drafted fucking Jimmy G in our elite group. He's hurting right now with that shit.
Man. All right. With that, we're going to close out the episode this week. Y'all, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe below. Keep listening to the Geeks and Gamers Network. We got plenty of podcasts. We got a whole other channel for check out for your Geeks and Gamers stuff. This is our sports channel. We got wrestling. We got baseball. We got a little bit of everything. We got my solo videos. Griggs' solo videos.
Cover 3.
Back. Cover 3 podcast. We're gonna get a lot more content. Tell us what you want to hear. Come to the group. Tell us what videos you want to see. As always, fuck Tom Brady and fuck Aaron Rodgers
fuck
too.
the Patriots.
Take it easy.